Okie dokie, here we are again. Hello, I'm Simulator Deck and welcome back to City Transport Simulator. Today we're at Dungog on what was Islington on the last episode. I've renamed some of the stations, so that were the names of actual railway stations. I had a look, there wasn't much that I could do in relation to getting out of Garden City and still ending up here, so I just left it. So 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, close the doors and off we go. So this area last time was uncharted territory. Interesting that it's basically zero development, or not zero development, but hardly any development compared to the city areas. But they've got a tram line and a terminus here. So that was interesting. I also found out by looking at the map that the station we passed on the Tram Cooks Hill that I thought we had to stop at, it's actually a bus only stop. Now, if it's a diamond,
the next station is Martins Creek.
If it is a diamond or a circle, trams can stop there. If it's a square, trams can't stop there. Renamed a couple of the stations, so Cooks Hill I thought that I had to stop at, but I knew that the station indicator didn't come up. I knew that. But I knew I shouldn't have stopped there, but I wanted to see what station it was so I could look at it on the map later, and I did look at it on the map, and it's a bus only stop, even though for all intents and purposes it looks like a tram stop. Whoops. So Dungog is one of the terminals or one of the terminating stations that I drive on in real life. So I thought I'd change Islington to Dungog. Martins Creek is on that line. Changed the order of a couple of stations so they make more sense to what the real life examples are. Perfect stop, good timing. So unfortunately we did have that game crash, and it was the first game crash that I've had. Well, first game crash in anything I've had for a while actually. So in the end I didn't vary the route at all, I just changed some of the station names in the end, and we're continuing on in the opposite direction to what we did in the previous episode. That was a long route, and
the next station is Patterson.
Alright, level 23. So I renamed Patterson, so it's next to Martins Creek like it is in the real world. guess I should just stay at Patterson until I don't see any cars in the mirror, I guess. There we go. Or stay on the hash mark until I get that signal, I'm guessing.
The next station is Facerfer.
I didn't correct how it pronounces Facerfer for the moment. So it's a was a terminal on the original T1, is now an intermediate station. But I guess if the tram runs really late, you can turn it around at Facerfer. So if I was going straight ahead, I can go, but because I'm turning right, I have to stop because of the traffic going next to me. So I should hopefully get the right-hand band in a moment. I do. It's on my bus route, it's on my B1 bus route, but it's not a tram stop. Now we can see quite clearly there that it's a bus only stop. And this is the northbound side. They're not always opposite each other. T1 to Dungog, T1 to Morisset.
The next station is Tramau.
I did tell it to pronounce it like that because that's how the locals pronounce it. Toronto. But you'd never hear somebody in Toronto, Canada saying Toronto. That's an Australian thing. So it's weird that the Toronto stop basically this could be a Fassifern stop. What I could do, I could change this route again. I'm not going to. Am I going to the left? I am. Straight ahead is for the bus, and the left is for the tram.
The next station is Kotara. The next station is Minda-Ribar.
That was closer than what he said before. I did give it a little bit of help that time. I think this used to be Patterson. Casino there.
The next station is Garden City.
Now this one should be an interesting one. Shouldn't be much of a problem in this direction. We'll see. Can you imagine if I sent the developers a message saying, could you please put in a set of tram traffic lights leaving Garden City, and forgetting that I'd actually renamed it Garden City so that I have no idea where I was talking about. There's a tram entering. Now I've got absolutely, apart from my review mirror, I've got absolutely zero support from the infrastructure to come into here. Back of the tram. That's the front of it. T1 to Morisset. Now in theory it should be a lot easier for me to get out and turn right here than when I tried to do it before and turn left.
The next station is Warnervale.
Oh, this can't go to go. So really, this could be Garden City as well. So I might change Warnervale to Garden City and Toronto to Bassyfern.
The next station is Tramau. The next station is Veresfield.
I'll put the lady on the right hand side, just walking around in circles. That's hilarious.
The next station is Thornton.
Let's go, shall we?
The next station is Medford.
Perfect start. I think this is the one I went past the one before. If it wasn't this one, it was around this area.
The next station is Victoria Street.
Traffic though. Going left if I was heading back towards Garden City. Sorry folks, my bad.
The next station is East Maitland. The next station is Burgel. Change here for T3.
Separate feed on a separate day. Sorry, not a separate feed, a separate playlist. TramSim. Can understand how they would have come to this point. In some ways it's probably easier if you're doing it in a fantasy land rather than the real life thing. Hopefully I've timed this well. Going straight.
The next station is Awaba. Change here for T3.
So T3 is my only active line at the moment. Got it. Oh, service here. After mine is the Wyong.
The next station is Wyong. Change here for T3.
So we go around the left and we're going into the turnaround. This should be 20. So I'm trading over against 20, even though it says it's 50. Got it. There's a pizzeria. Let's see how we are. So that must be a T3. T3 to Solara, those turn around here at Wyong.
The next station is Dora Creek.
Dora Creek, and then there should be Morris here. Yeah, this should be 22 going around here like this. So I've driven accordingly. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this route. So a couple of those minor alterations to Warner Valen's Rono. sometimes the pillars, if you line it up badly with the signal or the traffic light. Alright, next stop should be Morisset. Yep, correct. They're going straight, I'm going straight, I should be able to go, but maybe they're keeping it red for the car so I can go. We'll see what happens here. You would get to know these things at the end, yes, that's correct. And a new green cycle for the cars.
The next station is Morisset. Last stop. Please take your belongings with you.
Say sometimes when you are routing tram, it says that there may be congestion problems on platforms. When you're running a 20-minute service, I wonder about that. So this should be our route into Morisset. Morisset's had a really bad run lately with property development. There was going to be a 30,000 seat outdoor arena which didn't even get half built and then it stopped. And then there's a massive development on the edge of town that was going to include a massive hardware store in Australia called Bunnings. And they're usually the anchor tenant, and then Bunnings pulled out. Running the one route through here. And here we are, back as a team under Dunwell. That's the back of the tram. And there's me at the front. Anywho, I have been Simulated Oak. You have been wonderful. Thanks for watching. Ta-ta and farewell. Bye-bye for now.